This is the Dover Download Podcast. My name is Christopher Parker, and for the past 25 years, I've had the pleasure of working with, learning from, and talking to a variety of volunteer, staff, and community members. This podcast explores conversations, activities, and a variety of policies and programs which exist here in Dover to improve the community in one way or another. To celebrate National Police Week, which is the 12th through the 17th of May, today we're going to sit down with Chief Bill Bro and Lieutenant Alex Matrucci of the Dover Police Department and hear about some of the activities and how we can learn what they do to recognize that week. Gentlemen, thank you for coming.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, we talked about it before. I think all of us have that when we're playing cops and robbers as kids, we have a vision of what, and maybe it's what we saw in Dragnet or it's Law and Order or however. The reality is what you guys do is so different than anything the media portrays or anything our imaginations portray, right? Or am I just making that up?
No, you're right. Well, first, I think I need to explain to Alex what Dragnet was, because he's not as old as you or I, Chris.
Oh, we established recently that we're not that much different in age here.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, my parents watched it.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, police work, I've been a police officer about 26, almost 27 years now, and I can tell you that it's definitely changed over that time. When I was a rookie cop, it was much more. We simply went out, we responded to crimes or crimes in progress, determined if a crime was committed. If so, we took care of it. If not, we kind of moved on. But in that 25 years, society has really changed. The job has become much more complex. We're dealing with much more what I call social issues, people's mental health, their substance use problems, homelessness, things like that really have changed. And I think today's police officers are much more problem solvers.
Yeah.
Figuring out ways to, whether it's a criminal issue or not, figuring out ways to really improve that person's life or try to improve that person's life and improve quality of life for everybody.
How do you see that going, Alex? How in the role you've taken on, how do you see that rollout and how are things going with Katie and your other staff in that division?
Yeah, so about 2 years ago, we started the social work unit here at the police department. We hired our first social worker. We believe she's the first social worker in the state of New Hampshire that works directly for our police department. And we've seen that program grow extraordinarily fast. We did a needs assessment prior to hiring her to see what the city needed assistance with. And as the chief mentioned, we're seeing a lot more of those social problems, people needing services and needing to get connected to services. And so we've seen our program expand. Within the first year, we already saw the need to hire a second social worker, just because the amount of calls for service that the social work unit has been able to take off the plate of our patrol officers. We just saw that need continue to grow. And again, we're even training our officers now how to handle different types of calls, and our officers are becoming a wealth of knowledge for different social service organizations and programs and opportunities that are out there to help connect people to. I've been a police officer for 22 years now, and just the information that I've learned and the things that I'm focused on, and it's my role is completely different than it was 20 years ago.
So, Chief, at one point you and I had chatted about how for a very long time, physical fitness has been a component of both the training and the expectation of an officer.
Right.
And that we were both commenting it was a good thing to see the mental fitness coming into play and recognizing that mental health component, not just of our staff, but of the community.
Right. I think it's, for our police staff, we look at total wellness. Right. I mean, that's mental and physical. Right. Obviously, we want our people physically in shape. They're still police officers, and they still, we still have to use physical force and occasionally wrestle with people, and they need to be fit and able to do that and protect themselves and the community. But, as numerous studies have shown, the job of a police officer, unfortunately, you have to deal with a lot of trauma and a lot of, bad events. You do see dead people, you do go to, fatal car crashes, things like that they leave an impact. It may not be an immediate impact, but over a career, they certainly leave an impact. So it's a great thing that the profession has really started to realize that people's mental health is really as important, if not more important, than their physical health. We want people to make it through a 20-year, 25-year career. But, when they retire, we want to make sure that they're okay as well. So, physical and mental fitness and overall wellness is really a huge component of what we're trying to focus on to make sure. It's hard to find people that want to be police officers. We certainly want to take care of the ones that are willing to step up and take the job.
Alex, I want to say earlier this year, so a couple months ago, I had the opportunity to go through your mental health first aid training. And it was one of the best training sessions I've had in the 27 years I've been here, in the sense that I didn't want to sit on my phone sort of hiding while I was learning. Truly, you were engaging. The information was relevant. And I felt like when I left there that I learned something, that it was actually something tangible to go to my day-to-day life. And to the Chief's point, it helped me recognize that the world changes around us all the time. And a lot of times we're just flowing with that change. And I thought that the training really did a good job of saying, this has always been here. These issues have been here. You've just ignored them because you haven't had the opportunity to see them. I really appreciate the effort that you and Katie put into that training. And I'm really glad that we had it as a mandatory training for all employees.
Nice. Yeah, that's the mental health first aid training.
Right.
One of the things that Katie and I are trying to do is to train not just every police officer and not just every police employee, but every City of Dover employee in this mental health first aid. Again, this like you said, it's not just applicable to your job here with the city. You could bring this home with you. This could be something you could apply with, friends, relatives, neighbors. It's really just, like you said too, it's something that primarily we've kind of ignored or not talked about. Historically, we've kind of let mental health be the problem of the family, and we didn't really get involved. We didn't ask questions.
We either stigmatized it or we totally ignored it.
Yeah, that's it. Stigma right there. People are afraid to talk about mental health. They're afraid to talk about suicide. They're afraid to talk about those things because it's uncomfortable. And there's a lot of, information that people just don't know. There's misinformation out there. So the mental health first aid training is there to kind of educate people on the basics, just like a first aid program is. You're not going to walk out becoming a doctor after taking first aid classes. You're also not going to become a clinician or a psychiatrist after taking mental health first aid. But it's the training is meant to just give you a basic understanding about mental health challenges, mental health diagnoses that are out there, and ways that you can kind of help other individuals that you may have interactions with who might be in crisis or in a challenge.
One of the things that we all improve on is when we become more self-aware and we become more questioning of the things that we see going on, not in a conspiracy theory means, but in I didn't know about that. I should learn and should better understand that. And I think that's an opportunity that you guys see on a day-to-day basis because you are dealing with such a variety of people.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. The type of people that we deal with, again, over the years is completely changed. We deal with, so many people in the traditional non-criminal ways. When I hired a new officer yesterday, when I had him in my office, one of the first things I say is, if you're here to play cops and robbers in the traditional sense, this is not the agency for you. There's agencies out there that you might fit in better, but we really want you to be a problem solver. You're going to deal with people of all walks of life, of all shapes and sizes and colors, and we need to treat them all the same. And we, and Alex has heard me say this a million times, we police people's behavior, not the person.
Yeah.
Right? So, and policing people isn't just about enforcing the law. It's about assisting people and getting them connected to services, doing everything we can to, again, improve their quality of life. Because if we improve an individual's quality of life, the community's quality of life will continue to improve as well. So, yeah, you're absolutely correct. And I think as the city grows, it's really becoming even more prevalent. We're just dealing with all kinds of different people, which is fantastic. And it makes Dover more diverse than it was 25 years ago. But yeah, with that comes all of the issues that people have. And right now we continue to see a big increase in mental health related issues specifically.
Yeah, Alex, Dover is a lot different than when you and I were growing up.
Yes. Oh, completely.
And to the Chief's point, it's more diverse, but it's also different in the complexities.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've lived in Dover for almost 40 years now. I grew up here. I went to Dover High, and over that time, I've seen so many changes. It's become a bigger city. We are seeing more diversity. And again, to the Chief's point, 20 years ago when I started this job, it was getting in foot pursuit, chasing people down, making arrests. That's happening fewer and fewer. We're not seeing as many violent calls for service like we used to. We are seeing the people that are having these challenges, these mental health crisis challenges, these people that are looking for assistance and don't know where to go. But the police are here 24/7, so we are that main point of contact, or that first point of contact, or only point of contact that people can start the process of getting help. So we're trying to train our officers to get those people connected to the help that is out there.
So, Chief, I was reminiscing the other day. I ran into someone who mentioned the police station formerly being where the customer service center is now at City Hall. And I realized that later this summer, it's been about 10 years since we started the construction of what's now really not the new facility. It is the facility.
It's almost 10 years old. Yeah, it's the facility. So September of 2014, we started clearing what was then a parking lot, put in the police station and parking garage. So yeah, we've been there probably about 8 years now, but started construction about 10 years ago. And I spent the first more than half of my career in the basement of City Hall, and tremendous.
It's the ground floor.
The ground floor, whatever you want to call it. But it didn't.
It's all about marketing.
It didn't have a lot of windows, so I referred to it as the basement. But what a huge improvement the new facility is, about 3 times bigger. And the old facility, if people who took a tour, they'll remember. But if you had never been in there when it was the police department, we had desks in hallways. We just didn't have space. It was amazing. And as police work has changed, I don't know where we would put people that we have now on staff, like social work staff. And I mean, they can't be out in the hallway. They need to have some private space to have confidential meetings. And really, we wouldn't be able to do what we are doing now in the old facility. It would have completely limited our abilities to do a lot of things. I mean, it did back then, but it really highlights how police work has changed. And that facility was designed to allow us to kind of grow into it.
Right. There was some unbuilt out space, which you recently built out.
Right. Yeah, we did. And that became the new social work office and our community engagement unit office. And, it's funny, 10 years ago, I met with the architects it was a specialty firm that built police stations, and they highly recommended we not finish a portion of the building. And their words to me were, you don't know what law enforcement's going to look like 10 or 20 years from now. And I'll be honest with you, 10, 12 years ago now, when we were designing the building, the social workers were not on our radar at all. But here we are, and we had that space. So kudos to them for being so forward-thinking. But it really works. It works well now for us. It gives us the private space to have them separate from police officers.
Right. So as we let off, the upcoming week is about celebrating and appreciating law enforcement. Do you and the staff do anything to recognize that? How do you embrace the ideas?
So the week for us really means, first and foremost, about paying respect to those officers who have given their lives in the line of duty. So what the department does participate in is on May 17th in Concord at 9 a.m. There's a memorial service where it's open to the public, and if you have never been, I highly recommend you go. It's a very touching ceremony. It takes about an hour and a half. But the name of every officer who's ever been killed in the line of duty in the state of New Hampshire is read. Family members of those who are still living are there, and it's a really, really touching tribute, and several hundred officers from around the state attend. It's a solemn ceremony, but it highlights to me, I go every year, and it highlights to me that this job is still dangerous. The people that take this job understand those risks and are really willing to make the ultimate sacrifice. And I hope it absolutely never happens here in Dover. But I also know the caliber of people, they wouldn't think twice to put themselves, and they don't. They put themselves in harm's way daily. To me, that's what the week is all about. It's about appreciating that sacrifice that people have made, and the sacrifice that our officers are currently making. They're working shift work. They're missing their kids' birthday parties. They're doing all the things that often people don't realize. But police officers are people. They have kids. They have families. Their kids play sports. All those other things that, like any parent, we want to try to get to. But when you're working shift work and the job has inherent dangers, we don't always explain that to our families. So to me, that's what it's all about. It's appreciating the sacrifice that people are making to keep the general community, to keep strangers safe.
So if someone wants to, the public, a listener wants to participate, certainly they can attend that ceremony. Is there any way they could show their appreciation locally to the force?
They
A day of no crime?
that would be great. If everybody could just drive the speed limit for a couple of days, that'd be fantastic.
Wait, we have speed limits?
Seriously, though, we have people that often drop off all kinds of treats, baked goods, and things like that. And people certainly don't need to do that. A simple way to do is if you see a police officer, go up to them, introduce yourself, thank them for what they're doing, have a conversation with them, treat them like a person, because that's what they are. And sometimes, we see people at their worst often. So it's nice to just have a normal conversation with a member of the public. And we know 99% of people in the community are out there doing the right thing and will have very little contact with us, and that's fine. But if you want to support us, I think the easiest way to do that is just if you see a police officer, wave to them with your whole hand, not every finger, things like that. I think it's simple things. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate, but keep in mind these are people. And just, show them your appreciation. It doesn't have to be anything major, but just go up to them and
thank you.
Thank you. Have a simple conversation with them.
How would either one of you encourage someone listening that maybe wants to get into the field? I know you're always recruiting. There's always going to be turnover. There's always going to be need. How would you encourage a listener to explore that option of becoming an officer?
Well, we like to host monthly events to really just engage with the public, get out there and have conversations with the public. I'd really encourage, people to follow us on Facebook, follow us on social media, and see what different events we have to have that opportunity to come out and talk to officers. We also have a whole recruiting bureau, our standards bureau. You can contact our sergeant there. You can call the PD. You can reach out to us and do a ride along and really just get to see what an officer does in Dover. Because again, we're next to Portsmouth, Rochester, Durham. There's a lot of different communities out there that are surrounding us, and it's different styles of police work. What we do in Dover is going to be different from other agencies just because of the community, our training, the size of our organization, the calls of service that we have. So we really encourage people to come out, do a ride along, talk to the officers that are working the road, meet the agency. When we do interviews, we're not just interviewing that individual to see if they fit with us. We tell them, this is your opportunity to interview us to see if we're a good fit for you as well. So we're always looking to keep people on a list if we're hiring, which we are right now. So reach out to us, call the PD, talk to our standards bureau, talk to any officer that you see on the side of the road, as long as they're not on the car stop, but ask them, hey, I'd like to do a ride along. How do I do that? How do I get more information? But again, we host monthly events. Come out to those, Coffee with the Cop, National Night Out. We host events at the PD. We host them out in the public. We like to go to different neighborhoods within the city to meet people where they are. Come out to those events, have a conversation with us, ask us questions. That's what we're here for. We want to be transparent. We want to answer your questions. We want to be the police department that does what you as the citizens of Dover want us to do. So we want to hear from you directly.
And as the chief said, you're human too.
Right.
Yeah, everyone likes to have social interaction and everyone's got questions and people with answers like to share those answers. So step up and say, hi, my name is, thank you for doing what you do, and how can I get involved?
Absolutely. Yep. And Alex is spot on with, how to get in touch with us. But if you're not even sure what to do, just come down to the police department, ask to speak to an officer. And every one of our officers understands the process and will be hooked up to with the right person in the agency to start that process, to do the ride-alongs, to sit down with our hiring team to start that process, to explain things, right? And part of it, too, is we want to make sure that the people that we hire understand what they're getting themselves into, because it's not for everybody. It's a fantastic job. I've loved every minute of it. I'd do it all over again. But that being said, it's certainly, it takes a certain type of person to do this for a career.
Well, I appreciate you both coming in and sharing your knowledge and reminding people that cops are people too.
Thanks for having us.
It's another television reference. Have a great day.
You too.
You too.
Dover has a wealth of history in its over 400 years of existence. Coming up, Mike Gillis is going to share some of that history with us.
This week in 1887, Dover High School became the center of a heated controversy that not only involved the local community, but also raised questions about the integrity of its educational oversight. The issue reached a boiling point during a school board meeting on May 9, 1887, attended by a standing room-only crowd at City Hall. The controversy began with bold accusations made by the Enterprise, a newspaper published by the students of Dover High School. Managed by the young but forthright editor, John Quint, the publication had accused the school board of corruption and the practice of gross injustices against its student body. These allegations included claims that decisions on academic recognitions and participation in graduation ceremonies were being unfairly influenced by members' biases, particularly highlighting discrimination against Catholic students. The specific charge that ignited considerable uproar was that the board had allowed only 15 of the 27 graduating seniors to participate in the year-end ceremonies, ostensibly due to their religious affiliations. Another explosive allegation was the accusation of bribery within the school board. It was alleged that one of the board members had accepted a $100 bribe from a book agent to ensure the inclusion of Scudder's History of the United States in the high school curriculum, a rumor that had also been circulating in the community. As the controversy ignited, John Quint stood by his and the newspaper's accusations. The school board threatened a lawsuit, saying they would sue the students, but particularly John Quint, for libel and slander. As tensions mounted, the school board convened on May 9th to directly address these grievances. Reverend A. H. Quinn, a board member and father of the editor, was among the first to speak. He conceded that his son's approach might have been impetuous, but underscored the importance of discussing the issues raised. The meeting evolved into a forum where multiple perspectives were aired, revealing the complexities of balancing administrative authority with student rights. Throughout the contentious meeting, board members expressed divergent views. Some argued for the essential role of student journalism in maintaining administrative accountability, suggesting that even if the students had been overzealous, their active engagement reflected a healthy democratic process within the educational setting. Others felt that the allegations were too grave to dismiss without thorough investigation. The board ultimately resolved to accept an apology from the Enterprise, which had been advised to publish a retraction of its most aggressive accusations. However, recognizing the need to restore public confidence, the board also voted to proceed with a formal investigation into all the allegations. The resolution to investigate passed narrowly by a vote of 9-6, illustrating the board's own conflicted sentiments about the veracity and impact of the accusations. Ultimately, the controversy and the investigation would be forgotten by year's end. In fact, by the time the city's annual report for 1887 was published, the school board chair would report, quote, "Nothing has occurred during the year to disturb the harmony of our schools. We have had a successful year, mainly due to the enthusiastic labors of an efficient corps of teachers, wisely directed by our able superintendent."
Thanks for listening to the Dover Download this week. If you like what you heard, subscribe through your favorite podcast aggregator. And if you have something you want to hear a topic on, let us know. Finally, this is just one of the many ways we share information about the city of Dover. You can subscribe to the Dover Downloads email newsletter every week or other newsletters that we have by going to the City of Dover homepage, www.dover.nh.gov. Have a great week.